From AM 1680, this is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. And now, here's your host, Lance Cardoza.
Good morning, everybody. Business Leaders Live. I'm excited about this show. Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., we get to do Business Leaders Live here on the big Talk Radio 1680 KGED. I'm Lance Cardoza, and we're now streaming on Facebook Live as well. So you can go to Talk Radio 1680 KGED, and you can get the live stream right there. Make sure you share it, because today's a special show. Now, I have Dan Taylor on the show, and Dan, almost 30 years with ABC 30. Did you have an entrance song like that? Like it would just.
I'm really impressed. No, I didn't have anything like that. Boy, that was very, very impressive, Lance.
We spare no expense here. So, actually, Skip Essick himself, and if anybody knows radio or knows the radio voice Skip Essick, Skip put that together and was like, I think it's business.
Terrific.
It's charging the mountain.
That's right.
So we love it here at Business Leaders Live. Dan Taylor, you were sports, and I think you probably wore many hats when you worked with ABC 30. And a lot of people think you just get in front of the camera and the red light comes on and you start talking, but there's more involved than that.
Yes, no question. And climbed a ladder, started as an intern helping John Wallace when he was doing sports, and he opened the door for me and was an amazing force of support that I'll always be grateful for, and did general assignment reporting for a few years, running around covering crime and whatnot, and then worked into the sports desk, which was what my ambition was, and had a great run there, made great friends, and had a great time.
30 years, and then now you're almost a decade into working for a local company here in Fresno that led from ABC 30, and you went over to start working there in Keiser, and not to be confused with the hospital.
Correct. So, I usually have to point that out to people because that's the first thing they think of, and it's spelled differently, Keiser, named for the founder, Dennis Keiser, who with his brother Randy co-owned Keiser, and it's a global manufacturer and seller of fitness, sports, physical therapy equipment.
So, and a lot of times if you see, and a lot of sports athletes use it, if I might get it wrong, but with Keiser, it's a pneumatic weight system.
Which is compressed air. That's right. That's the big difference. It's pneumatic resistance as opposed to iron. Dennis is really quite the innovator, maybe one of the great innovators that fitness has ever seen, because he's gone away from tradition, which was always iron, and he's utilized compressed air, which brings a lot of benefits to so many different markets, whether it's older adults, eliminating joint pain and giving them the ability at older age to be able to work out, to athletes who are able to train at the speed of the game.
So, and you're the global communications director for Keiser, and they're right here in Fresno. And a lot of times people are surprised, and I believe, and I don't know if I have these statistics right, but you would probably know, but do they make the only exercise bike in the United States still today?
Yeah, I believe there's one other company, our stationary, depending upon how people term these things, or a spin bike is the number one seller worldwide, and it's another Dennis Keiser innovation that uses magnets as the resistance source, which is quite fascinating, and it's done extremely well in health clubs all around the country and around the world for that matter. One other company, I think, tries to make some of their equipment in the States, but principally Keiser is the only manufacturer building their bikes here in the U.S. Everybody else is pretty much in Asia and offshore.
All over the world. And that's right here in Fresno, California. And Dennis got his start here in Fresno, California. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Now, he worked with... I think in his younger years, I met Dennis once, and I got was telling you the funny story of how I met Dennis, and we had those conversations about how he got started and how he cut his teeth, just like you got the golden handshake from John Wallace. Dennis also had from a big business leader here in Fresno, too.
The Zinkins, absolutely. Yeah. Dennis grew up on a farm in Sanger, had a racing interest and a mechanical mindset, and went to Cal Poly as a mechanical engineering major, and then initially started out with a company designing some farm equipment, but at that time, Universal, which is, it's probably in every high school gym in America at one time or another.
And that's the Universal Weight System.
Exactly, and that was what the Zinkins brought to market. It was their tremendous product, and Dennis was hired to come in as a consulting engineer and try to help them develop variable resistance. And off of that, he really began studying different resistance forms and felt that there were some flaws to iron, and developed his own ideas, and went off and over 40 years ago created his own company.
And again, when I met with Dennis, I think what I was really impressed with, a lot of people don't realize, is a lot of sports teams are utilizing, and one of the reasons too is I think you're not hauling a bunch of weights around.
Does help a little bit, yeah.
And it was pretty amazing. Their showroom here in Fresno was very impressive.
It is.
And be able to see in the psychology of the business of working out and free weights, and a lot of people think it's about reps, and it was he's done a lot of research, and he knows that business of fitness. And I think, how old is Dennis today?
Oh, I don't think you'd want me to tell.
It was, yeah. He's a fit guy.
He's a very fit guy, yes.
He's a fit guy,
yes.
So he knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing how that technology, the research that he's put behind it, and created this incredible company.
Doesn't come with just the study of mechanical engineering. It comes with a study of the human body, and an understanding of the human body and the stresses it's under, and what it goes through in working out and training for sports. He's put a lot of emphasis on that.
What led, so you're a sports broadcaster, ABC 30, and what led to, you probably knew of them in
I had known Dennis. I had done stories, and Dennis and I had a rapport where he would certainly let me know if they had athletes coming into town that were going to visit them, and I had done feature stories on the company and some of the things they were involved with, and got a call one day to come down and visit with him and kick some things around, and he had some directions that he was trying to go in, and asked if I'd want to be a part of it. Thought, fantastic.
You signed up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
They're an incredible company. And where can you find, if people are interested right now and they want to see it online or see some of their products for Keiser, where do they find it?
Online, you can go to www.keiser.com, which is Keiser. In town, if you're looking for a gym or a club, GB3 has quite a lot of Keiser equipment, both the strength and resistance equipment and the bikes. And so that's the best two resources right off the top.
So in you growing up, and I know you did broadcast and public address broadcasting and sports, and we worked together on Grizzlies television. I produced the show.
It was a lot of fun last year, thanks.
On KAIL. You did our color commentator with Doug Greenwald, and you were a guest that would come in from time to time, and it was exciting to have you on the show, because a lot of people said, hey, it's Dan Taylor from ABC 30, and some people hadn't seen you in years, and they were excited about it. And it's great when you're working with a pro.
Thanks. It was. I was really tickled to have the invitation to come and participate. I enjoyed it. Doug's great to work with, as are you. And the Grizzlies really do great things in this community. So it was a real treat to be involved with the Grizzlies broadcasts. And nice to see they're doing more and more in television, and have also a great value on radio. You sometimes don't realize how important radio is when it comes to professional baseball, and people who can't get out of the homes and can't get to the games, or maybe that particular night they're tied up and doing something, and radio's their only opportunity to be connected to the team. But that was a treat. It was really a lot of fun, and a great group to work with. So
Dan, when you grew up as a kid, you probably had a love of baseball.
I did.
And what drew you initially? Was it public address announcement when you first started doing any type of voice or television?
I'm going to go back a little ways farther, and everybody that knows me is probably rolling their eyes going, oh, here's another story.
Here it comes.
My maternal grandfather came over from Scotland, and when he came, when his parents and he came over to this country, he was underage, because you graduate from school in the UK at a younger age than you do in America. And so they came to the States, and immediately my grandfather's busted because he's underage and he hadn't taken American history. So they made him go back to school. And what he said really impacted my life, because what he said is, okay, if I've got to go back to school, I'm going to learn these American games, and I want to figure out what this baseball's all about. And he actually he played an offensive lineman on his high school football team in Boston, and played in Fenway Park in a high school football game. But anyway, they relocate to California, and when I'm growing up, he really shared that love of sports with me, and turned me on to baseball, taking me to Candlestick to watch the Giants, and that's what kind of got me going in baseball. And then in school, I don't know what it was, but I was always I'd fall asleep spring and summers listening to Giants games on the radio, and that kind of was a direction I thought professionally life would go.
Yeah.
And I had some great teachers. Jim Holmes in junior high school got me doing some announcing of some of the school games.
So you were dreaming of it as a young age.
Absolutely.
Saying, this is what I wanted to do. You know, that's funny. I had Jim Kilner. It's a good friend, and Jim, hopefully you're saying this. He was Kings County. It was the captain, their chief over there. And for years, I think at that time he was working in the fire department in Kings County. He ran the Little League.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go and umpire for him. They needed an umpire, and they'd throw me in there. I don't know why I did that. But I had to eject my father out of the game several times. But yeah, so then I ended up doing the public address announcement, and I loved it. And I think that was my first opportunity into doing something like I'm doing today. And Jim Kilner gave me that opportunity. Another guy, John Alkire, in doing promotions and stuff with the King's Fair. I photographed the first ever monster truck show in the Valley for John Alkire. So it was guys in your life that
absolutely
they give you that opportunity to live that dream a little bit, and you realize I can do this.
Right.
And you find out I'm pretty good at it. So then you keep trucking away.
Had a friend in high school who was doing some DJ work at that young age and took me down to his station one night just to show me the studio. And the guy that was on the air that night had been the PA announcer for the Fresno Giants the previous season in '74. And as we're leaving, he calls to me and says, "Hey, I can't do the games this year because of my new shift schedule.
Yeah.
You want to do it?" And that's how I ended up getting into baseball.
Dan Taylor on Business Leaders Live. Don't go away. You're listening to Talk Radio 1680 KGED. More Business Leaders Live with Dan Taylor when we return.
Former Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury owners or lessees can receive payments and other benefits from a legal settlement related to allegedly defective Takata airbags in their vehicles. To see if your vehicle is included and to file a claim, go to autoairbagsettlement.com or call 1-888-735-5596. That's autoairbagsettlement.com or 1-888-735-5596.
One of the first things that people experience about your business is your parking lot. If it's uneven, full of large potholes, loose gravel, it says something to your customer before you ever get a chance to. Let me highly recommend Seal Right Paving. They've become a common name to over 500 different companies from Sacramento to Bakersfield, Fresno to the Pacific. Their claim to fame is the number of return customers that they have. Seal Right Paving prides themselves on their personal commitment to any customer's project, no matter the size of the job. From asphalt, concrete, and grading expertise, from designing parking lots to baseball backstops. They've laid concrete on the coast, paved parking lots in Sacramento, and graded for buildings in Bakersfield. Now is the perfect time to start that project. Give Seal Right Paving a call. 559-222-7325 or visit their website at sealrightpaving.com. That number again, 222-7325. You'll be glad you did, and so will your customer.
This is Dr. Jim Cece, Senior Pastor Teacher at Campus Bible Church of Fresno. We're blessed in the San Joaquin Valley to have so many fine Bible teaching churches. However, if you do not have a church home and you're looking for a place where the Word of God is central,
that's a great story.
Why not try
Yeah,
out
so everybody on Facebook going, I just heard Dan say that's a great story, and they're all wondering what was he saying. We'll talk about it on the radio. Tune in.
Good.
And thank you for tuning in here at Facebook Live. So this
absolutely, that's great.
Pretty good. And I'm terrible at this too. I forget to share it. 10 seconds. Do you need water?
I'm good. good. Thank
You are listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody, to Business Leaders Live. You can catch this episode and past episodes of Business Leaders Live by going to lancecardoza.com. That's LanceCardoza.com. We have a new site coming out, but if you go to the lower right-hand corner, you can click the button and listen to the past episodes. Dan Taylor in studio, and we were talking about a lot of people in the Valley will know Dan Taylor and know the voice from ABC 30 and doing the sports broadcast and covering news stories here in the Valley for almost 30 years here in the Valley, right? 29 years?
29 years as a full-time employee and a few years before that part-time and as an intern, yeah.
So many years, and we saw him on television. And last year we worked together, the Fresno Grizzlies, and you were doing the color broadcast on our television broadcast for the first time to KAIL that we were doing last year with KAIL. And this year we have 22 new games that are coming out. April 4th at Chachansey Park, the Fresno Grizzlies will be going live on KAIL and have a packed house for opening night. And opening night baseball, you were saying you grew up loving baseball, and there's nothing like it. Even if you're not a baseball fan, I tell people all the time that first time you ever walked into Candlestick Park, everybody remembers that stadium experience. And what was that like for you as a young guy?
You still get it when you walk into a major league park. That there's just something about the lush greenness of the grass that's different at a ballpark than anywhere else. And you just, as you pull open that door and you look out and you see the field and the colors and all, it always really gives you a great feeling. So yeah, it's opening day, opening night. It's just kind of the entrance of spring and the summer's around the corner, and it's an exciting time. And baseball kind of capsulizes that.
Yeah, and we'll be doing it all again on KAIL, so tune in. You'll be able to watch some of the games, and Dan will be doing some color commentary with us, and Doug Greenwald will be doing that again. Dan, before the break, we were talking about getting that opportunity, somebody that believes in you or someone who gives you that little push to say, you can do that. You know, you should try to do that, or if you really want it, I'm going to help you get it. And we were talking about John Alcar. I was telling the story during the break, and you have those opportunities. John, the fair manager of the Fresno Fair, it was the first time he was a fair manager at King's Fair, and I was photographing. I've told this story once before, about a year ago, but I was photographing and selling pictures to the 4-H and FFA kids, and my mom would be listening to this. She's laughing, and I would be running, developing, going back and selling the pictures, and he came up and said, "Kid, do you have any film in that camera?" And I thought, there's this big guy with a cowboy hat. I'm in trouble. I'm getting thrown out of the fair is what's happening. And I remember telling him, well, it depends. Why do you want to know if I have film in the camera? He goes, "What do you mean depends?" And we chatted a little bit, and John probably vaguely remembers that. And then he was like, "All right, smart aleck." And he said, "I got $20 for you. You ever heard of monster trucks? I want you to photograph them." Never heard of monster trucks. There was no such thing. And he says, "Bigfoot, you got to come out and see this truck, Bigfoot." And I went out there and was just, wow. And I met a photographer, Ralph Barrett, from the Hanford Sentinel, and then worked in media after that. He gave me a tour of the place, and Neil Williams was a publisher then, and I got into the business of media down in the South Valley, and then the rest was history.
All because really John had the presence of mind and kind of the innovative mind to bring in monster trucks. First, what were you saying? First fair manager in California to do that?
I believe so.
Wow.
I think I remember him telling me that, or he just was a real good P.T. Barnum, and I just believed everything he said.
No, he does a great job.
He does an incredible job with the fair, and it takes opportunities like that, and it's sometimes a little kid gets hurt and goes to the doctor playing baseball. And the doctor's talking to the little kid and says, "You know what, you should be a doctor. You're a pretty smart guy." And that impact on a young mind makes them believe. And a lot of times we don't give hope to young minds that you can do anything you put your mind to.
A lot of times, too, we formulate and form young minds and have them focused on a particular goal. And it's great to be goal-driven, but I think at the same time you have to have your eyes open, your ears open, and you have to be open-minded about other opportunities. And sometimes things come into your life for a reason. And just as you mentioned, if the person's receptive to that idea that medicine could be a future for them, you hope they will jump on that. But sometimes they get real goal set on unrealistic ideas, and they miss potential great opportunities.
Because we all have done it.
Of course.
I'm sure you're with ABC 30. You probably thought, I'm going to be in the major leagues and I'm going to be broadcasting all the Giants games. And we all have that bigger goal and we chase things like that, but it doesn't always happen. But along the way, there's other gifts and opportunities that are presented to you. And if you're so locked on to the one thing,
right,
you miss all the opportunities that come along the way. And
Absolutely.
I tell people, interning is a great way to get in and learning a business and being a part of it. And really, to me, and if you get paid doing it, it's almost like you're being paid to go to school.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I tell people all the time that getting in that real life experience, there's nothing like it.
You have to, because life changes faster than textbooks can change.
Yeah.
And I think interning, I've said this for decades, interning is so vital to getting in and learning and getting an understanding of an industry. It supplements what you learn in a classroom. You really need to do that.
So when you got into the business of television and you were working television, what was it probably wasn't all easy, and I was trying to figure it out. A lot of people think, like we talked about at the top of the show, you walk on the set, the light turns on, and you read the screen, the teleprompters, they call it. There's a lot of prep work and a lot of work that goes into preparing your show and putting your information together, just like it is with doing communications director of global communications for Keiser.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a lot of prep before all the glamour of the business, which everybody thinks it's all the glamour side. There's a lot of dirty side to everything you have to do before the fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mentioned John Wallace again. He was a tremendous teacher, great mentor, who taught so much about news gathering. Just thinking of all the different potential angles and options to what could be going on to better understand things, not just going headstrong in with a particular belief or story idea. And he was a tremendous mentor and learned such a great amount working under him in those couple of years as an intern, and then moving in, working part-time on the assignment desk and doing some general assignment reporting, and then doing weekend sports, and then moving up into the weeknight sports desk.
Was John Wallace at that time, was he the sports
When I began,
anchor?
he was the sports anchor. He had come over. He had been a news guy at Kino Radio.
Yes.
Came in and was doing sports. And then they decided to make a change and put he and Nancy Osborne as the anchor team and doing the news.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And if anybody has been from Fresno for many years, you'll know Nancy and John Wallace. John, what a tribute, his funeral. When I went to his funeral, what a tribute to, and he had impact on so many people.
In so many ways.
Yeah,
not just
so many
broadcasting,
people.
but in so many things that he was involved in. Absolutely right.
Yeah, incredible guy. And he is missed, and was always had a smile for you.
Absolutely.
Love John. So you get in there and you get going. What is, and do you miss it sometimes?
Surprisingly, I never have. I miss the friendships. Great friends. That's the part that's missed. But no, it was a good time to make a change. It was a good run, good people to work with and work for, and the timing was really good to make a change.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
to cross that bridge and go into the new.
Don't miss shopping for makeup or anything like that. So,
global communications director for Keiser with a pneumatic weight system. That right here, corporate offices in Fresno. What does that job entail? So a lot of traveling, I'm sure, and
fair
going to
amount.
different countries and seeing customers.
I think relationship building is really important in the industry. I think it sets us apart. It's a very competitive industry. There's a lot of companies that make similar equipment that are chasing the same sales, and I think the relationships you build set you apart. And I think that's one of the things that I've tried to work toward is events and activities and things that we can do to build relationships and cement ourselves in the minds of prospective buyers in all of our markets.
So, and you were talking about events, and a lot of boutique. Because a lot of everything's online these days, a lot of boutique marketing events. I was in New York in Manhattan, and I wanted to go by and take a look. I was in a hurry, and I wanted to see, was it Keiser or what it was, but they had a bunch of bikes in the street, blocked down the street in Manhattan, which you know every taxi driver in the country was wanting to run them over. But they were having a spin class.
Interesting.
Right at the lunch hour. And I was watching it go on, and I was thinking, what great marketing. They were making a bunch of noise across the way. But it takes a lot of different ways of marketing and thinking.
You have to be creative, and everybody's trying to do unique and different things. And, we're looking at organizations, professional organizations, and how can we support or create either organizations or events for organizations that really build those relationships. So done some fun things, fun exchange program that we've worked with baseball, where every year we select one of the major league strength coaches from one of the major league teams. We take them to Japan because they have a big conference over there and they present. And then we select one of the strength coaches from one of the Japanese teams and we bring them back to the U.S. for the winter meetings where the U.S. strength coaches have a conference and they'll present some of their training ideas. So it's this exchange program's worked out really well now for 8 years, and it's something that the coaches, I've got a long list of these coaches coming to me saying, hey, I want to go.
Yeah.
Both the Japanese coaches that want to come over and American coaches that want to go to Japan. So it's worked out really, really well.
Where do you feel, the Keiser, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Dan Taylor here on Business Leaders Live. But where, quickly before the break, where in the world Keiser is the United States the stronghold of the products, or is it? You guys are pretty much worldwide.
We are. About 60% of our sales are here in North America, and then the remaining 35-40% is split between Asia and then Central America, South America, Europe, Africa.
A lot of soccer teams?
We do have quite a lot of soccer teams, particularly in the UK. All the teams in the English Premier League use Keiser. In North America, every Major League Baseball team, almost all the NHL, just a couple of NFL teams don't. It's a tremendous market share in professional sports.
Incredible company, Keiser. We got Dan Taylor in studio. Don't go away. You're listening to Talk Radio 1680 KGED. We'll talk to the Facebook people real quick here.
Okay.
Let's see if anybody's making some. Oh. Hey, when everybody's going to laugh on Facebook, when we go and we post on Facebook, when we do the Facebook Live from here, that whatever we're copying and pasting, leaders is misspelled. I fixed it already. You did? Okay, you fixed it. All right. They were already commenting about it. It's a spelling test. We're trying to make sure you're paying attention. You're watching the show. Yeah, always the first comment we get right away is like, leaders, ha ha ha.
I had to double check just in case.
Yeah, we always get it.
It's good.
Yeah, when it blasted out on Facebook, it blasted out.
The description of the video.
Yeah, description blasts out that way. It always happens. Yeah, the internet in here, unless they only get like one bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in here at times, yeah. So if I'm going to do Facebook Live or anything like that, drops are right here or even streaming.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the first week we had put it out, I had a ton of people going, oh, they let Lance spell. Oh, jeez. Yeah, don't let me. Well, you've probably seen some of my emails.
Well, I wasn't going to say, but.
And they're quick. A lot of times I'm talking to the phone.
Oh, okay.
And I have a hard time if I'm not wearing my glasses.
Yeah.
I'll talk, I'll look at it, it looks about right. And I'll send it, and then I'll get them to call me back and go, what about the, and anybody that knows me, I've told a story that I can't tell on the air, but there's things I've sent to people. And they're like, what? They call me back, I'm like, I didn't say that. And I look, oh, no, I did.
Oh, gee.
So I want to talk about when we come back to about when you had that first opportunity.
Great.
When was that? That moment of
sounds good.
Yeah, something
sounds good.
Something new and cool. And you can listen to anybody that's watching this for the first time on Facebook Live. You can go to lancecardoza.com. You can catch this episode later, and then it'll post later this afternoon. And then you can catch any of the past episodes too.
Great.
Of Business Leaders Live there as well. And then we were talking about it. Dan will be doing some color commentary with us at the Fresno Grizzlies with Doug Greenwald on KAIL.
That'll be great.
Catch Grizzlies on TV with Dan back on the big screen.
That was fun last year. I mean, I had people. One guy actually came into the booth during a game. He was in a suite.
10 seconds.
And had some nice emails from people saying, wow. So that was fun.
5 seconds.
Okay.
Giving you the inside story of business leaders in the Valley and beyond. This is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody, and welcome to everybody on Facebook Live, too, on Talk Radio 1680 KGED. We're live in studio here at the big KGED with Dan Taylor. Dan Taylor, many years with ABC 30, now with Keiser. We've been talking about his career in basically media and doing global communications director for Keiser. And again, if you're just tuning in, it's not Keiser the hospital.
Correct.
It's Keiser, the pneumatic weight system, and they have this very incredible and there's not just one item that Keiser has.
No, we make
There's
over 30
many
different
products.
resistance machines, everything you would find in a health club, for instance, or in a weight room, from the spin bikes and on and on and on. So, yeah, it's great products.
It's a pretty big company, and we were talking about over in the UK, soccer teams and different professional teams from around the world. The Keiser's fitness is a big piece, and
Right.
I know Dennis, that's a big
Right.
piece, and I know they do a lot of things in the community. Is fitness and youth in fitness, is that something of a target of?
It is, but actually, beginning in the late 80s, it swung in the opposite direction because a lot of research was funded into older adult fitness as
Okay.
opposed to youths. And it was the prevailing attitude at the time was that what older adults needed to do was just go out and do cardio and they would be fine.
Yeah.
And it would extend their life and quality of life. And then the research that we did in conjunction with a number of universities came back and said, no, that's all wrong. What they really need to be doing is resistance training. And that's going to improve their life and extend their life and improve their quality of life. And so it's been very interesting to go back and read those studies, having come on board many, many years after them, but it certainly created a fitness boom in senior housing facilities that we fueled. So it's been a huge portion of our market.
Of your market, and a lot of times people don't think about that too,
Exactly.
because you think about water aerobics and so forth. We're resistant. There was one thing that Dennis and I think Randy was explaining it to me too, that about it's not about how many reps,
Right.
but it's the explosion of.
Well, ideally, you just want to go to fatigue.
Yeah.
Because you can sit there and say, well, I'm going to do 3 sets of 15 reps, for instance. Well, if you're too tired, that last set is useless.
Yeah.
So the idea is you go as hard as you can, move as fast as you can, which you can do with the air, unlike the iron. Move as fast as you can until and then you've got a one of the notations on the display tells you your percentage of your watts, and if it drops below a certain percentage, your power output, if it drops below a certain percentage, you've got fatigue and it's a waste of time to continue.
Yeah.
Or you can just drop, with the push of a button, you can drop the resistance down and try to continue at a lower resistance.
Which was pretty incredible, because in their showroom a while back, I got to play with some of the machinery, and the resistance, the buttons are right on the machinery, so you can control.
So you're not dealing with a pin or anything
Yeah.
like that. It's just with the push of a button.
Yeah, pretty incredible, and very smooth and fluid,
Right.
and everything about it was, you could tell it was the Rolls Royce of fitness equipment.
Now, the Rolls Royce is a nice one. We've heard Ferrari, we've heard a lot of other analogies, but yeah, I'll take that one. That's good.
It really was incredible. I was thinking, I want this in my house. Yeah, this thing's pretty incredible. So, global communications director for Keiser. After years of television, you end up there. Let's go back to the beginning when you got that first moment of you were going to get into the game of baseball, game of broadcast. What was that like for you as a young man, that you wanted that?
Well, I had done PA, and when I was in about the 8th or 9th grade, one of my instructors arranged a tape machine, a video tape machine, and with a couple of classmates, I broadcast our junior high school basketball team's game. And they set it up in a classroom on lunch break for a week where people could come in, eat their lunch, and watch this tape rebroadcast.
Yeah.
And so from that, the track coach then asked me, I was on the track team, but if I wasn't running an event, he wanted me to do PA of the track meets that he was responsible for, and then it just grew from there. And so, as I alluded to earlier, a friend of mine created the introduction that led to me in the 1975 season I was still a senior in high school, becoming the PA announcer for the Fresno Giants, and that was just such a thrill. I mean, I'm so grateful that the opportunity was a tremendous one. I made great friends. I've written some books, and through those books reconnected with some of the players from that team, and it's really been a lot of fun. And off of that, one of my responsibilities was calling the media after games with the final score. And through that, got to know the guys at the TV stations, and John and I connected, and maybe it was a year later that John reached out and asked if I wanted to come in and help him out. He was going to be doing kind of a stronger emphasis on local sports, so Friday nights with high school football, and then twice a week with high school basketball. He wanted some help in rounding up scores, and that's how I got into Channel 30.
And that led you over there?
Yeah.
Wow. When you started doing the broadcast, so as a young age, did the coach was the voice there as a young age? Where they were thinking, this kid's got a good voice.
Well, we were at a family gathering with some friends of my mom's up in the Bay Area. And I don't know if you remember, but at the time, Texaco, the fire helmet was kind of a logo for them, and they would give out these plastic fire helmets to kids.
I remember that. Yeah,
but it had a little walkie-talkie type system to it.
Yeah.
And so one night, all the adults are playing cards in another part of the house, and I'm in this room with this Texaco helmet, and I'm playing around with it, but I'm pretending I'm broadcasting a Giants game. and the friend's husband came into the room looking around,
thinking the
and
TV
then he would
was
leave,
on?
and then he'd come back again looking around, and he did it 3 or 4 times, and finally he said, it sounds like I've left the radio on.
He left the radio on. Wow. And he was listening to you.
And he was hearing me pretending to be Russ Hodges doing the Giants game through this little Texaco walkie-talkie system on a helmet.
I remember that.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
They were pretty cool. So I talk a lot of times too, a lot of people don't youth, the impact that you can make on someone young or make them think of broaden their horizon.
Right.
But like you say, not locked on a goal, but locked onto just be a sponge, learn and get in there and absorb, because you never know what you're going to end up doing.
Well, that's important. I think even today for me is not to think you know everything, and to surround yourself with people who you're going to get good advice from. Surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, that you know are going to really give you good, sound advice in whatever project you're working on or whatever you're involved with. And I think at that time, and it's funny because I think about it often. My grandfather at one point, I think I was in high school and knew what I wanted to do, and my grandfather was saying, well, how many of those TV sports jobs are there in a city?
Yeah.
And I said, 3. And he said, well, you better rethink what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I'm going to do it.
And I think about that now, how would I deal with one of my nieces with that same kind of advice? I wouldn't want to dampen their enthusiasm, but at the same time, you want to make sure they're looking at it with a dose of realism.
He lit a fire under your butt.
Exactly.
He basically said, you better be good.
Right.
And you better be hungry.
Absolutely.
Because you just said there's 3. So you're competing.
Right.
And a lot of times too, I tell people that came as an opportunity to you, that it made you, it woke you up a little bit. You probably really drilled down and thought about it and said, you're right.
Well, my initial thought was he's trying to discourage me.
Yeah.
And that I'm not going to be discouraged. This is my goal. I feel like I have the ability to succeed.
Yeah.
And I'm going for it.
I'm going to do it.
So,
and I tell young people all the time too, a lot of times that those gifts, those opportunities come as discouragement, but a lot of times that's the opportunity.
Right.
The opportunity was presented that here it is, and it's obtainable because why? There's 3,
right,
and you're 1.
Exactly.
So you can become one of those 3. So that's what you're telling me, right?
Right.
So, but not everybody gets that way. They get discouraged. They get kicked to the curb, and they think, woe is me. And I think I just posted something on Instagram. And you can follow me at Lance Cardoza on Instagram.
Idea.
But on there, it was Warren Buffett, and he talked about 7 habits of successful people. And one of them, and it wasn't that. It was a video he put out, and he said, don't feel sorry for yourself. Because that's a recipe of disaster, that you can't feel sorry, and don't have envy for what the others have. And those are really positive messages and simple.
Right.
And so many people, and I like to talk about young people, because young people are going to pave the way on where we're going in this country. And a lot of times they do feel sorry for themselves. They feel kicked to the curb.
Right.
The opportunity's not there for me. Or they want to be the next big thing, the next big Rihanna or whoever it is, and they have this pipe dream sometimes. It doesn't mean you can't be that. It just means that are you hungry? Are you ready?
And I've had a lot of people, whether it was some of the incidents that we've talked about here, I've had a lot of people say, oh, boy, you were very fortunate, you were very lucky. And I really cling to, and one of the great sayings I've ever scene that I really strongly hold dear is one from the great Branch Rickey, the baseball executive. Luck is the residue of design.
Yep. Branch, he's such a good guy.
Oh, amazing.
Branch Rickey.
Yeah.
And that is so true, too. It is. And it's what you do that makes the difference in the outcome.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that. They think it's, was just a hand up.
Right.
And even somebody that's positioned in a wealth position, there's so many recipes of disaster of young people that come from wealth that they weren't able to get to that next level.
Right.
And it's still on your shoulders to be able to do it yourself. So I think a lot of people have to realize that it all starts with you.
No question.
Doesn't matter. If you want success, you make success. You have to do it.
What was the Gordon Gekko line in the movie Wall Street? Information is the greatest commodity I know.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And so that's why I love to talk to young people and be able to inspire them a little bit.
Right.
And let them know that dreaming's okay, but doing is so much more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so much more. So you get into baseball, you're living that dream and you're doing that, and then you get into ABC 30, and then you're over there at ABC 30. When we come back, we're going to take one more break. I want you to share a funny story, something, because through the many years of being on television, I'm sure you have many, so you've got a Rolodex of them, but let's think about a funny story when we come back right here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED. We'll talk about that and see what you have.
Oh, no.
You can catch all the past episodes here of Business Leaders Live by going to lancecardoza.com, and you can catch us every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. live right here in studio for Business Leaders Live. Dan Taylor in studio with Keiser, Global Communications Director. We'll be right back, and we'll hear some of those funny TV stories when we return right here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED.
They don't have anything with Russia. So now they go and morph into, let's inspect every deal he's ever done.
For 2 years, the Trump administration has been attacking the core functions of our democracy, and the Congress has refused to do any oversight.
Believe it right here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED.
Hi, I'm Rick Edelman, and I have a feeling that retirement is on your mind. You're wondering if you've saved enough or whether your money is in the right places. You're wondering when will you be able to retire, or will you be able to stay retired? And is your money sufficient so you can live in comfort and financial security for the rest of your life? You're wondering all this, but you really don't have to just wonder. You can resolve all these questions in your effort to enjoy a retirement that's everything you want it to be. And we can help. At Edelman Financial Engines, our clients are predominantly concerned about retirement, your financial security for your spouse, for your aging parents, for your children. And we can help you just like we've helped thousands of folks just like you for more than 30 years. So call us at Edelman Financial Engines at 888-PLAN-RIC. That's 888-PLAN-RIC. Or visit us at rickedelman.com. That's ricedelman.com. And don't wonder about your retirement, because we're here to help you.
Hi, friends. This is Ken Hurley
and Dan Hurt, inviting you to tune in every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for Solid Gospel West.
2 hours of Southern gospel music brought to you by Calvary Worship Center.
Located on Dakota between Cedar and Maple, where people reach out to people with God's love.
That's Solid Gospel West every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on 1680.
See you then.
This is Pastor Sean Beatty,
Pastor Scott,
and producer Dan, and you guys are listening to Redefine Defiance
every Thursday morning at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1680 KGED.
If you just want to listen to a couple of goofball pastors talk about nothing, this is your show. We make fun of Florida. We talk about current events, bad religion.
Make fun of California a little bit.
Make fun of California a little bit.
Make fun of every political leaning possible.
Yeah, we do it. So, hey, if you're easily offended, don't listen on Thursday mornings at 9 a.m.
Have you written a book? You can become a published author with Dorrance Publishing, the nation's oldest publishing services company. Countless authors have trusted Dorrance for nearly 100 years to bring their book to the market. Our professional team will edit your text, design your book pages, and create an appealing, eye-catching custom cover. Plus, our authors benefit from a custom book promotion marketing campaign that makes your book available where people buy books, like Amazon and brick-and-mortar bookstores. So make this free call right now to claim Publishing your free author's guide to publishing. Don't wait another day. Take one step closer to realizing your dream of becoming a published author and seeing your name in print. You've already written a book, so the next thing to do is make this free call right now to Dorrance Publishing and get your free guide to publishing. Call right now.
800-851-4805. That's 800-851-4805.
Together, we can turn a stairwell into an ER at a moment's notice. Together, we can turn a rescue ship for refugees. Together, we can vaccinate 710,000 people in just 11 days.
You are listening to Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza, the behind-the-scenes story of the business shakers and movers in the Valley and beyond. Once again, here's Lance Cardoza.
Welcome back, everybody. In studio, Dan Taylor. We've been talking about his career with ABC 30, sports broadcaster, and you covered spot news. You did everything from intern all the way up the sports broadcast and then over to Keiser as global communications director. Before the break, Dan, we were talking about a funny story of being on the air, and anybody that's done live television has something. There's something out there on the list of stuff, but during the commercial break, you were telling me about one.
This goes back a number of years, but we had a series of events that led us to believe that another channel in town, their news people, had our radio frequencies and were listening in because they were showing up at a lot of stories, not just spot news where if you listen to the scanner you would pick up on the information.
So it's your communication among your team.
From the news, from the assignment desk to the vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there were a couple of incidents where they were showing up at an arranged feature story, and how would they know about it?
Yeah, how would they know? Yeah.
So there was one particular reporter, he had spent months working on a pretty elaborate story, and he's at the house, and all of a sudden this channel shows up, and that kind of sealed it, and everybody was really angry about it. So that night, a couple of the guys put their heads together, and they concocted this idea, and about every 5 to 10 minutes, a cameraman would walk from one of the editing bays out into a vehicle in the parking lot, and John Wallace would go to the assignment desk and communicate with them and sending them on this big story in New Idria, which, if anybody knows New Idria, it's up in the hills, way out on the west side past Coalinga. It's a long haul, and so it was like every 5-10 minutes, John would go to the assignment desk, the cameraman would stop what he was doing, the editor would stop what he was doing, go out in the car, and John would say, I need you to go out and pick up the network news crew. They're just arriving at the airport. And this must be big. Yeah. And a few minutes later, it's
I can't tell you what's about. Yeah.
And then some of our guys who were in vehicles picked up on what was going on, and they just jumped in spontaneously.
Yeah.
And it's, hey, I've got this guy, and we're on our way out there. And then one of the cameramen finally, after maybe an hour or so, the goal was, we knew this channel that particular night only had one cameraman on duty.
Yeah.
And if we could goad them into pulling him, if they would take the bait and fall for it, the idea was to get him on the road way out to New Idria, and it would totally sabotage their newscast. They wouldn't have anybody who would be able to edit the newscast.
Yeah,
so
because he probably did it
right.
all. Yeah,
and so what we ultimately, this cameraman was hollering, my wife's angry with me, John. You're sending me out here. I'm on my second hour of overtime. It's a long way to drive. Will you please tell me what it is? No, I can't tell people. We can't put this out. We know these other guys are listening. We can't put it out. And finally, it's there was a sighting that they thought about down in Area 51.
Yeah. Oh, so he's getting all wound up.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun.
Dirty. They were listening in on you guys.
Absolutely.
And trying to jump in on your stories. Wow.
And then one of the guys over there ended up.
That? John Wallace?
I think John and one of the reporters, they came up with it.
Like a John Wallace. He's going to have some fun.
And then we ended up hiring one of the guys that had been at this other station, and he said that all that night they were on pins and needles, and they just didn't know what to do, and they were so close, and at the last minute they said, no, we can't, and I think it cured them of listening in.
Wow. And it's funny because you talk about stories and things that happen like that and this behind the scenes. For so long, I didn't know Stephanie Brugian and Mark Cotta. I didn't remember that Mark was on television and had a gunman come in and put a gun to his head live on TV. It was a
horrible event, absolutely horrible event.
And we were talking about it. It was Stephanie and I know Mark. And when she was saying, and when I was watching TV on the other side, when that was all going down, then they took it off the air, and I thought, oh my gosh, something happened. I put two and two together, and I went, wait a minute, that was Mark.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had hair then. So for years.
Let's change that subject.
I had no idea. I'm like, that was Mark.
Yeah.
And I've known Mark for a while, gone to their Super Bowl parties, but I never realized that had happened.
Little known Stephanie Barugian trivia. Her dad, I believe, was the concessionaire at Selland Arena. And Stephanie and my wife worked a stand selling souvenirs the night of the Elvis Presley concert at Selland Arena.
Wow.
And my wife has told the story that the Colonel stopped by the table and complimented Stephanie and my wife on the job they had done.
And selling the concessions. Wow, very cool. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So it's a small town still today. You see it's a close knit, and you see the news business, the mainstays, the Angelo Stalases and the Dan Taylors and the guys that have been Warren
Armstrongs, absolutely great people.
And you go back, John Wallace, and there was the guys before him, and Juanita Stevenson, and there's so many out there that you can mention, and the great Kopi. You know,
goodness, Kopi's tremendous. Yep.
You know, so that business of television, and it's not all I talk about. It's roses. Everybody thinks, oh, that's what I want to do. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work. It's a long day. I mean, my days often would begin 1:30 because technically the shift is 3 to midnight. But with a 5 o'clock show doing the sports, if you get in at 3 o'clock, you're way behind.
Yeah.
So they were long days.
Yeah. So it's a grind like anything else. Everybody thinks it's glamorous, and it's a lot of work.
It has those parts, but there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes that people don't have any idea about.
Yeah. And the fun stuff is that you have years of stories and so many fun things, and you got to work in a business that you really loved. You got to report on baseball and sports and connect with some greats.
I was fortunate at a time when this community was taking off, and you look at my dad had taken me to Fresno State games starting in the mid '60s when they were playing North Dakota and Hayward State and Cal State LA, and I remember when the Dogs are preparing to play in the Freedom Bowl against USC, and I turned to Henry Ellert and I said, can you believe this program 10, 12 years ago was playing Cal State Hayward? And Henry said, I was in those games. I played Cal State Hayward.
Yeah.
It's really remarkable to see the job that was done out there, and also with professional baseball to see we've gone from a low-level single A minor league. Now we're at the very top, the Pacific Coast League, one of the most historic leagues in all of minor league baseball, and Fresno is entrenched in the middle of that, and they could have a really good team this year. Looking at the Nationals and their development system and the prospects they've got coming up, this could be an exciting team to watch this year.
I tell people all the time, the Fresno Grizzlies are growing champions. It doesn't matter what affiliate we have, we're going to grow another champion. And we had the Giants for many years. We had the Houston Astros, and we saw the amazing things that they did. And I work as a consultant over with the Grizzlies, and now with the Washington Nationals. I think the words that Derek shared with them. Are you ready?
Yep.
Yeah, because we're sort of like the lucky rabbit's foot. It might happen again, and I'm excited. They do have some great prospects. We touched on it a little bit. You have written some books,
right?
And where can someone find your books?
Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com. Just wrapping up my fourth right now, which is about the legendary minor league baseball team, the Hollywood Stars, from 38 to 57, and probably the most innovative team in baseball history. The things they brought to the game that most people probably have never given a second thought as to where grooming the infield, dragging the infield after the fifth inning came from. The Hollywood Stars did that to create a little bit more time to sell a few more hot dogs. They actually had a pitcher who worked fast, and it was driving management crazy.
Yeah.
Because on the nights he pitched, they weren't selling any sodas and hot dogs. And they came up with this idea. And that was just one of many that they brought to the game. They played 3 seasons in short pants.
Huh.
Yeah, until the players said it was tearing up their legs, and they stopped.
Then they stopped doing it. Wow. And the name of the 3 books that you have now?
Well, the one that I'm really proud of it's called A Scout's Report, and it's the autobiography of the legendary scout George Genovese, who became a great friend before his passing 3 years ago. And then George and I collaborated on another book, Fate's Takeout Slide. It's about 14 players that everybody projected were going to be great major league players, and for a variety of reasons did not. Mm-hmm. And then this one I'll be working up, should be turning it in fairly soon, and it's been a lot of fun to work on.
Good deal. Dan Taylor, it's been a pleasure having you on Business Leaders Live.
Thank you.
And I look forward to working with you again here on our broadcast.
Well, always fun hanging with you. This is great.
I appreciate it. We go to CMAC on games that we're not doing our live broadcast, and then you can go to FresnoGrizzlies.com and find out the dates that we are broadcasting on a variety of Fridays and Saturdays and some Sundays, live on television on My Central Valley on KAIL, and great color analysis. Thanks to Doug, and we love it, and we're looking forward to that. Anything you'd like to leave us with? A word of inspiration to anybody.
Luck is the residue of design. Always keep your eyes and ears open. Opportunities where you least expect it.
You never know. You never know. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this week's Business Leaders Live here on Talk Radio 1680 KGED. Everybody on Facebook Live, thank you for tuning in and also chiming in right there on Facebook Live. You can catch this episode and other episodes at lancecardoza.com. Until next week, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., I'll be right back here with another guest, and we'll be doing it all over again with another edition of Business Leaders Live. Dan Taylor, thank you, brother. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Great to be with you, Lance.
All right, thanks.